We're back
Yes, we are, and we're glad to be here
for some positivity from the porch.
Yes.
And it is 4th of July weekend. I can't believe it.
I dressed for the occasion.
And look at dancing Grammy.
Yes.
She is back. At least she's in costume, which is step one.
I can't find my tap shoes. Otherwise, I could have done a little jig for you
She
today.
might have been tapping, but the tap shoes are missing in action. But I think that's supposed to be. I think you're not ready. The first step is the outfit. We all know. So we're getting closer to tap dancing.
Oh, we are. And wait till you see this outfit when I stand up.
It is gorgeous. Our dear friend Donna made it for Christmas.
Yes, she is marvelous. And you'll see the full picture as soon as I find those tap shoes.
Just wait. Yeah. So we are so excited to be here on this long holiday weekend.
Aren't we?
And we are going to continue our theme. Even though it's a new month, we're still talking about growth.
Yes, we are.
So last week we talked about physical.
Yes.
And because we're not only about positivity, we're about accountability. I want you to know, first of all, that I got it out of the box. My new vibration plate.
Oh,
it's out of the box. I'm going to post a picture so you can see it. And I got on it and I was jiggling. Oh. I was working it.
Did you hear that? Well, I got something new also.
She got a piece of equipment too. We really got fired up.
A recumbent elliptical machine where I can work my arms and my legs at the same time by sitting down. I won't have to worry about slipping off my old treadmill.
That's good. The treadmill is out of here. It's time for the treadmill to go. So we have a new piece of equipment. We both have new equipment. And I wanted to make a little correction. My dear Susie said it's best if you have these bands, because last week I was going like this, to actually take your band and cut it so you have one long one.
Oh.
Then you can really stretch.
Yes.
That these are good for the feet, and I'm not going to do it because remember what happened last week. If you're on the ground lifting your legs, but these are really good, but to cut it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Our lessons just continue. There's always something to learn.
Can I just tell you, I worked so hard on my new machine before I went to therapy. I was wondering if I'd be able to walk like I did. I did, but it wasn't as good as before.
There's no stopping this mama,
no.
This dancing Grammy. Well, so you're looking great. And so what, and we are going with a theme. We're using some props now. It's kind of fun. So what is our theme about growth this week that actually goes with the costume? You just didn't put the costume on to show off, although you probably would do that.
Oh, I did do that too.
But
you know me.
There is actually a theme here. So why don't you introduce our theme and talk a little bit about what we're going to be talking about?
Well, our theme, of course, is with emotion. And that's the dictionary says it's intense feeling. And I had that intense very sad feeling after I lost my son.
Yes.
And he had been living with me, and I always had hope. Where there's life, there's hope.
Right.
And after he passed, I sunk into a deep depression, not ashamed to say it. And I thought I could get out of it myself, and I couldn't. I reached a point where I actually was not functioning as I needed to be. And God came to me at a very crucial moment when I was really down, and he saved me. He turned my thoughts around and said, what am I doing? I need to go on with my life. There's something out there for me. And sure enough, I left the spot I was on, called my daughter who lived nearby, Diana. Julie was in Indy then, and she took me to a doctor.
Praise the Lord.
And
because you were about to end your life. You were stepping out into the street.
I was stepping out in the street,
and
not caring where I walked. I walked down by the water. I just wanted to get away. And with the help of a very good therapist, I was restored. I went on medication, of course, and I kept taking it for a long time. When I reached the point of where I was I'd say almost back to normal, I thought, what can I do? I wasn't teaching. I had retired at 70. And so I started looking, and I went to the recreation center in Carlsbad, California, and I looked around and I saw a bunch of people.
So you needed something to give you a purpose.
Oh,
because
yes.
I think, what you experienced, and I think the first part of emotional growth, which is what we're talking about today, is recognizing our limitations.
Oh, yes.
Because you realized you were very depressed and down, and you were able to seek help with, thank God Diana was there.
Yes.
That's where we need to step in for our loved ones.
Oh, yes.
And intervene sometimes, and to get professional help. And so, emotional growth really has to do, and I can say the same thing through my divorce and my therapist, that you need to seek help and realize our limitations. But then once you got healthy, and you still were down and feeling kind of lost. So then that's where this part of the story, this is where it gets even better.
I should say too, I never let on to anyone. My children called me, and I got calls every day.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know what was going. I didn't know you were that bad.
No. Well, I wanted to hide it from everyone and not be a burden to them. However, once I did get the help, I was an active person, always busy.
Yes.
I went to the center and I thought, is there an activity that I could find? Well, it certainly wasn't with the sewers. I couldn't
So you couldn't have made this costume.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't even look at something like this. It wasn't with the bridge group. They were so somber and serious. And
I don't see you in the bridge group, Mama.
No, I played for
You'd be
fun.
having fun in there.
Yeah,
they're serious people, those bridge players.
My friend and I cut up so much in one time in La Jolla that they asked us if we couldn't find another place.
She got kicked out of a bridge club.
We laughed all the time.
So you didn't want to try that again?
No. And I looked around and I thought, there's just no place here for me. And just as I was leaving, about, I'd say about four gray-haired ladies ran up to me and said, "Oh, are you leaving?" I said, "Yeah, I am." They said, "Do you tap dance?" And I felt like laughing. I said, "Tap dance? I can't do dancing of any kind." I tried to ballroom dance and I was not good. And they said, "We'll teach you." And one lady said, "I didn't know," and they showed me how. And they were all so anxious to have me, which felt pretty good. And also so happy. I thought, maybe I should give this a try. At least I could do it for a little while to make them happy. So I followed them, and I stood behind the tappers, and I started to shuffle. Then I started to hop, ball, change. You don't know what that is, maybe. But I gradually got a little better. Not good enough for the stage yet.
Not ready for the show, but that was where Dancing Grammy was born. That's where it all started.
I practiced. That's the secret, too. I would go home and practice. They practiced 3 times a week. And sure enough, one of those days came when they said, "We think you're ready to go with us to the next show." I almost died. I thought, keep me in the back row. But whoever was in the front row...
She's not back row material. Look at her. There's no way they're putting her in the back row.
The lady in front of me didn't show up that day.
Oh, no. Oh, no. There you go.
There I was. I made my debut to... I've got... What was the name of that song?
Don't Fence Me In.
Don't Fence Me In.
Was the costume cute?
Cowboy shirt.
Nice.
Long pants. They weren't showing leg in that group.
No leg.
Cowboy hat.
Sounds like a boring group if there was no leg.
Well,
we'll get to that later.
They were very sedated.
Yeah.
And they also belonged to the women's club, the Carlsbad Women's Club.
So it's a little more, not the skimpy. This would not have worked then.
No, but I'll tell you about the other group I was in.
Well, yeah, we'll have to talk about that one.
I went out there, and you know what? My life completely changed. I started to enjoy, first of all, being with some wonderful people. Secondly, being able to hold my own on the stage.
Yeah.
And
it gave you confidence.
I wasn't alone.
Right. And you were doing something also that brought others joy.
Oh,
and I think when we are struggling emotionally, when we start living for something beyond ourselves, it helps.
That's what helped.
Yeah.
And I continued to do that and kept at it more and more. I don't want to give my book away because I mentioned
it's in the book. I think you got to get the book that is going to be published soon.
But that didn't stop me. Let's just say that. I became dancing Grammy.
There it is.
I still am today.
Yes.
To my grandchildren and greats.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, it changed my life.
And that's where it all started. Yeah. So you literally danced your way back to life.
I did.
So you had this traumatic experiencing losing a child.
Yes.
I just can't even imagine. And you were able to connect with this group. And I think part of our emotional growth always involves people.
It always does.
Isolation is never good.
No.
I think you moved at that time into an apartment and you were very isolated.
Oh,
and so having this group and having a reason to get up and practice and perform and wear cute costumes got you going again and kind of gave you a new start.
I had fun instead of crying spells.
Right.
And we went out to lunch. They became social friends as well as fellow tap dancers. And as long as I lived in California, they were my friends.
That's awesome.
And
so what a great story, Mom. And I think you should hold the hot flash story for a future Porchcast. So that group was the Time Steppers, right?
Yes, that was called the Time Steppers.
And so that's where it all started.
You were stepping in time. About the next one.
The hot flash is a whole different story. And very flashy and lots of crazy rules and great stories. So I think we're gonna put a pause on that story.
Yeah.
But I just love how you took that step, literally.
Yes, I did.
To do something new. And I think when you have a loss, it can actually open up a new space, a space for something new and for new life. And a new life emerged when you stepped out of your comfort zone and did something you've never done before.
Right.
And look where it led. That was when you were what, about 70?
72.
And so here you are at 92.
Yeah, 30 years
still
later.
Dancing
20
and
years later.
having now you're dancing Grammy and having a great time going around to all these retirement homes before COVID. But you're going to do it again, continuing to bring joy. So you continued this time stepper tradition with your own group, the Prime Life Follies.
Yes, I did.
So
we'll be going out hopefully in the fall.
Stay tuned. And there's going to be some tap dancing, but it always, for me anyway, starts with the outfit. So I've taken up golf this summer, and it's all about the outfit. I started with the golf outfit. You've got the flashy red.
Oh, I do.
Beautiful.
I do. Yes.
So I always say if you can't play good, you got to look good, and you look good, Mom. And I know you're going to dance good too.
I'm going to try.
So I love your story. So my story about emotional growth also came at a very difficult time when my marriage crumbled. And so that was like the one thing I wanted to get right in my life.
Yes, exactly.
And it didn't work out, obviously. And when I went through what I called my breakdown epiphany, God knew, okay? And it's hard for me, by the way. A couple weeks ago, we talked about spiritual growth.
Yes.
It's hard for me personally to separate spiritual and emotional growth.
Well,
because
they are.
Well, they're similar, but for me,
together.
my emotional growth was a result of my spiritual growth.
Yes.
So they're very interrelated. For me, for some people, you can grow emotionally without growing spiritually. That is absolutely possible because there are some people who are not, involved or have, are not believers, and they have, they get emotional help from counselors or meds and are stable emotionally and mature emotionally. So, but my story is a little bit different. So I was physically led to a Bible study. And once I started that group, it just kind of blew up from there, and I got involved. I had this thirst for the Bible.
Yes.
And I actually ended up in like 4 different Bible studies. And
but it saved you.
And the thing is, I just showed up. Just like you showed up at that senior center. I just kept showing up every week. And the interesting thing was, we would start with prayer requests. And one group, my Wednesday night group, or Wednesday afternoon morning group, was a group of older ladies, or they were in a different stage of life.
Yes, yes.
And so they were much wiser, and they had gone through so much in their life, so much loss. In fact, I would show up and we'd be praying for their dying son or their husband with Alzheimer's. And it made my problems look about this big, right? It really put things in perspective.
Exactly.
But just showing up and being around those faith-filled people helped me. But then there was one who really stood out, my dear Betty. So she, in all my Bible studies, we started praying for a woman named Betty Edwards. And I didn't know who this was, but every Bible study I would go to, I kept hearing this prayer request and this name. And I'm like, there's something about this woman. I need to meet her. So she had lost her eye, and she was in her late 80s and lost her eye because of a stroke. So I just got her address from somebody at church, and I wrote her a note, and I got her like a chamomile eye pack and sent her some soothing music or something, just some little nothing. Anyway, I sent it to her. And I remember going to some class one evening, and I heard someone say, "Hi, Betty." And I turned around, and right when I saw her, I knew it was her.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, hi, are you Betty Edwards?" And she said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "I'm Julie Osborne."
Yeah.
And she knew immediately. She said, "I've been trying to get a hold of you."
Yeah.
And she just couldn't believe that the stranger had sent her that. And the next thing she said is, "You're coming to lunch tomorrow." It wasn't even there wasn't really an option.
No.
I was there, and I remember having pork chops and Brussels sprouts, and that was the first of years of lunches at her table. And but Betty gave me her precious Bible.
Oh, my.
And so my emotional growth really is rooted in God's word, in my spiritual growth.
It was,
and I opened this thing up today, and it was given to her from a friend on June 27th, 1928.
Oh, my goodness.
So about 90 plus years ago.
Before I was born.
Right, when you were born, So it's close. Yeah, so wow. And so to have Betty's Bible is just so meaningful.
Yeah.
And so my emotional growth does involve therapy. Dr. Pat.
Yes.
I had a great therapist, because in my marriage, I really always was taking care of the kids and my husband and his career, and I really lost myself. And I just remember showing up every week to Dr. Pat and sitting in. She had this old lazy boy leather recliner, and she'd make me tea, and that was my safe place.
Yes.
And it was a time for me to rediscover Julie.
Yes.
And of course, medicine was a part of my treatment, and still is. You know, I'm not ashamed to say I think there's a stigma with depression and anxiety, and it's a chemical imbalance. It's no different than diabetes and needing insulin. So,
and if you need a boost in some other area, you get it right away.
Right.
But you're kind of hesitant to talk about a boost for your emotions or your well-being.
Well, and it's not even a boost sometimes. Sometimes it's a balance. I mean, I got not only that, but the hormones. I got to balance my hormones. They're out of whack. So I do medicine for that and creams. Because when you hit menopause, it all goes. It's like, okay, help me.
I don't remember that.
She didn't experience it, of
mine
course.
Was instant. I had a hysterectomy.
Well, there you go.
In my late 40s, and that was it.
Well, that was it. She got it. Boom.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. You just took care of it right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
I had to.
Yeah. So we're just really enjoying talking about growth.
Yeah.
And I think emotional maturity is so important, but it takes work, and sometimes it takes loss. I think the challenge or the difficulty is that some of the most, the opportunities for growth come in your darkest times.
Yes.
And we don't see that at the time, because we want it to just go away as soon as possible.
Exactly.
But it's really, I look now when something difficult happens, I say, okay, we have an opportunity.
Yes.
This is an opportunity for growth. How can I grow through this circumstance and situation?
That's it.
And for me, it does. It takes a great community of faith-filled friends.
Yes.
It takes therapists. I mean, it's a village. And it takes God, first of all, and God's word.
That's the one who starts the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And I had God, by the way, at that time too. And yet, I didn't cling to him the way I should have. I was too wrapped up in different circumstances.
Well, you were too wrapped up in your sadness.
I was.
And that's what happens. For a lot of us, you were grieving, and that's okay. It's good to grieve because it means that you really loved. When you have a deep grief, that's a huge loss, and you need to grieve that. But the good news is we're not alone. God is right there with us.
There with us.
We have loved ones. For you, Diana was there when that situation happened with Jim. Thank God.
Well, he started it that day. I'll never forget it, as a matter of fact. And I didn't know what happened to me, but I stepped back and got my thoughts going, and sure enough, it was God who led me.
Who got you off the curb.
Made the phone call, revealed my sickness. And he's got things started, Julie, like he did for you.
Praise the Lord. And Toto is another God thing.
Oh, yes.
And Toto, you know, our furry friends can be huge supports emotionally when we're struggling.
Right.
And Toto has been a huge gift in my life. And now yours.
Yeah.
And everyone's.
Yes. He's mine now too.
We're so grateful. We've got a lot of gratitude on this porch. And, you know, this is a weekend to celebrate the 4th. And, you know, freedom is, of course, a theme. And emotionally, we think about freedom as well. And we want to be free. We want to feel free emotionally and strong and free from our past. We've talked about that, leaving our past on the porch. And so
and free to be who we are today.
Right.
And we want to honor the veterans who served in all these wars.
Right.
And
our freedom has never been free.
That's right.
So starting from the very beginning in 1776. So we are grateful. And we hope you have a wonderful weekend with family and cookouts and celebrations.
Oh, that would be great.
And there's the hand wave. And stay tuned, because I have a feeling that the next time she puts on this costume, there might be some dancing.
We'll see.
I'm just saying. So it starts with the costume, though, and you're looking great, Mama. I'm so proud of you.
It'll start with the shoes.
We got to find the shoes. Okay, we're going to find the tap shoes, because you can't tap without the shoes. Okay, have a great week.
Holiday.
God bless. Take care. Happy 4th.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.